Good morning. I'm with Rory Quinn, CEO of Yukon Metals. YMC on the CSC is the symbol. And Yukon Metals had some news out last week from the AZ project in the Yukon. AZ is the way it is spelled. We call it the AZ project. And there's some really nice visuals in here. And I really want to delve into this with Rory. So how are you, Rory?
Very good, Robert. Thanks for hosting me.
Yeah, my pleasure. So this news release, a lot to delve into here. I like the map, the property-wide map showing the drill holes from the 2025 program to date. Also, a lot of rock sampling has been completed across the project. And then also you have the magnetic field contours as well there. So my initial takeaways from this news, and you tell me if I'm right or what your thoughts are. Hole 4 at the new target area looks quite encouraging to me. It might have some nice copper and gold in that intercept. We'll see what the assays say. And also just some of the surface samples, the outcrop, subcrop, float samples lighting up. And there's an area over to the west with 26.7% copper, 6.69% copper at surface. So that's intriguing, but it doesn't look like you drilled a hole there. So what are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I think, yeah, there's copper everywhere. And so that area you just referenced where there's 26% copper and almost 6 to 7% copper, that was an area that was worked on quite a bit by Ron Berdahl. And so we had a decent amount of information there, knew that there's, a lot of outcropping, kind of skarn area there. And what we sought to do is explore new target areas, right? So drilling at Chair Mountain and drilling at this new target, but there really is just copper grade everywhere where we're seeing outcropping. There's copper, right? And we're talking over huge distances here. This property is 13,000 hectares, and so we're seeing really strong indication of copper, and in some cases gold, I mean, miles apart, right? And so we'll be working there to do infill work, both with induced polarization and soils, and may very well get back in there with the drill. Relative to hole 4, yeah, what's intriguing there, and that was found just by real old fashioned prospecting, and that new target is really in a 2 kilometer square alteration zone, and there's just we see copper at surface just all over the place. And then critically at hole 4, we're seeing chalcopyrite downhole substantially, right? Pretty liberal chalcopyrite downhole, down to 135 meters. I think we show highlights at 50 odd meters. And why I think that's interesting is that the outcrop right where we colored that hole, so not float or subcrop, but the actual outcropping rock right where we drilled that hole had chalcopyrite in it, and that rock there at the collar ran 5.7 gram per ton gold and I think just over 1% copper. So a lot of encouragement of gold at that new target area.
Looking at the drill traces, and tell me if I'm wrong, it looks like hole 4 was the deepest one that you drilled so far. Is that correct?
We drilled, it's amongst the deepest. Yeah. So we drilled that one down to about 400 meters. We also drilled hole 5 down to over 400 meters. So we've done some really deep drilling here, and going to have a lot of information about structure here and how we're trying to vector in to the mineralization here. At Chair Mountain, the first hole we did, we saw really sort of flashy malachite and azurite in core there, right? And malachite and azurite both run about 50% copper. And so we saw that throughout, oxidized down to 24 meters. And actually the hole was pretty well oxidized down to about 80 meters. We had to pull that hole up at about 100 meters, just because there's a lot of shear zones and fracturing, and so it proved to be very difficult drilling. And so we went back with hole 5 at Chair Mountain and re-drilled hole 1 at a steeper incline there. So it was about perhaps 8% steeper. And so that one ran down over 400 meters as well. So we've gotten a lot of information out of Chair Mountain as well.
Okay, that's great to hear. So Chair Mountain, there were 4 holes there, and the new target area, there was 1 hole. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. So the new target area is really intriguing, because what stands out to me is, well, the surface is lighting up with copper and gold, and that's obviously attractive. Also looks like there's a pretty strong mag signature there around the new target area, the same way as there is a mag signature at Chair. But it seems like the new target area might even have a larger mag expression there. And then the first hole into it looks good, right? So that's very encouraging, because usually odds are the first hole into a new target is not going to be with a lot of joy, right? So that's very encouraging to me. So the new target area, maybe once the assays come back, if they confirm what you're thinking and what the geos are thinking, do you go back out there and potentially do some more drilling here?
Yeah, we're reviewing alternatives now. Right, obviously in the Yukon there's seasonality, so really you're able to work as long as you have water that isn't frozen. The new target, there is flowing water right by there. Actually, is a large stream. So that could work in our favor. So yeah, we'll get this information back, the assays, interpret it, and if it makes sense there, if we're really vectoring into something, or sort of triangulating a place where we think another couple of drill holes will really benefit us and shareholders, really give us more information, we'll work to do that. Just to be clear too, the hole we did at Chair Mountain, really, I mean, in both of these areas, the first hole at Chair Mountain, that was an untested area by drilling. At first hole there, we're into copper, right? I mean, and I mean, you saw the core, really kind of splashy malachite nazarite. I mean, that's the first hole. I mean, that could have been a few meters of continuity, but we saw continuity down at least to 24 meters from surface of copper there. And then at this new target, again, I mean, that's just one hole. I mean, for your audience, I mean, these drill holes are probably about the kind of diameter of a normal person's wrist, size person's wrist. Maybe not yours. You're a big guy, but yeah, an average person's wrist is probably what you're looking at as far as how big a drill hole is, right? How the diameter of it. So it's very encouraging to just put a drill hole into Chair Mountain, and you're in copper, and drill hole into this new target, just one, and you're into this chalcopyrite well down hole, and with the chalcopyrite showing substantial gold at surface.
Yeah, I mean, the surface expression here at the AZ project is really impressive. I mean, the scale of it is kind of mind-blowing when you look at the scale bar on the map. It's 2 kilometers, but the property is more than 10 kilometers wide, and it's also very tall as well. And you've got copper in outcrop and subcrop and float and soils all throughout, essentially. Very, very encouraging. I have a question though. After you get the assays back for hole 4, might you name the new target area something different, or are you going to keep it new target area?
Yeah, I mean, really, what we don't want to do is get into sort of a confusing situation where, right, but there's so many names. I mean, really, this is the AZ property. I mean, it is really large, but we at this stage, it's so big, and we're seeing copper everywhere. We don't know what kind of continuity exists. So we may well name these things as is a different area of mineralization here. But I really prefer people to think about. I mean, in Canada we pronounce Z as Z, right? So I prefer people to think about it AZ or AZ as the property in the project, right? Because we don't know, again, just like what continuity there is. These things could be satellite deposits. They could be part of. I mean, we think that these are the surface expression of one big porphyry, right? So all these skarns are fed by the same system. So and we'll work to demonstrate that. Yeah. So I just don't want to get into naming 3, 4. Right. You see the space in between them, and then the target out to the west there. Right. As far as these are all different areas of the AZ project, which is huge. And just to remind your audience, this is 6 kilometers away from the Alaska Highway. Right. So we just did a tour up there. An investor tour, and when you're in a helicopter from the airport, you're flying right the entire time, virtually right along the Alaska Highway, and then sort of sitting down. We sat down there on Chair Mountain, so the Alaska Highway 6 kilometers away, right, and then that runs all the way down to Skagway, which is a deep water port. So if you have a project here, pretty amenable for road and power.
Yeah, that's very important, and that's a very good location in the Yukon to be that close to the Alaska Highway. And then Star River, Rory. So that's another very exciting project where I'm eager to see the drill arrive and get turning. What can you tell us about Star River?
Yeah, we'll put out a news release here pretty soon. As you know, the massive junior mining conference at Beaver Creek occurs right at the beginning of September. So we'll work to have assays out for AZ by then, and we'll put out news too on Star River. It will probably come too early for assays there, but I think there'll be lots of visuals that we can show at Star. But yeah, drilling underway there. Like I said, I'll put out more news. As a reminder to your readers and your audience, there we had 11,000 gram per ton silver at surface, and what's that, almost 4 ounces per ton gold equivalent, and then 101 gram per ton gold at surface there as well. So roughly, I think 3 ounces per ton gold. So yeah, incredibly high grade there at surface. We've got a mag high overlapping that high grade gold and the highest concentration of silver, gravity high, our biggest gravity high, and our biggest magnetic high overlapping that as well. And so that's the target we'll be drilling into at F2. We may very well bring in a second rig at Star. And so we'll drill 4,000 meters there. There's going to be lots of core and lots of core to show, and then lots of core to assay moving forward. And that one's one we're very excited about. It's the CRD system there. I mean, and the key with Star River is that's right on a road, right? So doesn't have to be helicopter supported. We can jump in a car from Whitehorse Airport and I can be on site in 5 hours, right? Drive right onto site and into camp. Like I said, I think I've mentioned before, you can walk about 10 minutes up to the outcrop there and hack silver out of the ground in fine grained silver in Galena.
Yeah, it's impressive. The rocks from Star River from last year's prospecting and mapping program were really impressive, and really impressive to hold in my hand, just the density of that silver bearing ore. Thinking back to AZ and the skarn porphyry system, and sometimes these things can extend deep into the earth, and so we need to use modern tools to see deeper and get a better idea of where to target with the drill. The IP might be very effective here. Do you plan to do an IP survey at AZ?
So sorry, was that AZ or Star?
At AZ.
At AZ, yeah, definitely we're doing induced polarization at AZ. Yeah, that's all part of this year's program. So we'll do some soils, and yeah, we'll look to do induced polarization to test for the potential for continuity between these big showings that we have. So between Maryland Creek and Chair Mountain. So at Maryland Creek, as a reminder, the Birdalls delivered 10.3% copper there in trenching. And then at Chair Mountain, we had this 3.5% copper right at surface where we did some drilling. And then, so those are about 3 kilometers apart. And then between Chair Mountain and the new targets, about 4 kilometers. So really long distance. Then you can see between the new target and to the west there, which was initially called the AZ target, right? That looks like it's about 5 kilometers. So, I mean, you're talking about big distances. And so, yeah, we'll lay down some IP lines there and work to get a good sense of the potential for continuity.
All right. Yeah. So this is a great update. I really appreciate the additional color here in this conversation, and, looking forward to that, the assays from AZ, those first assays you said maybe for Beaver Creek, and then the announcement on Star River, and then continuous news flow throughout the rest of the year as those assays and other news from 2025 work programs at YMC's projects in the territory roll in. Thank you, Rory.
Thanks so much, Robert.